So good morning. I look fabulous this morning. So this morning with my coffee, I had a little extra time before I have to be at the skincare studio. And I thought I would post a video, since I have to do my makeup anyway, about my makeup routine and the makeup that I use professionally and personally for my special occasion makeup, girls, proms, special occasions, weddings, things like that, as well as on myself. It's also the professional makeup line that I recommend to clients, friends, the whole gamut. So this is my out of the shower face, and thought we would have some coffee together and talk about makeup. Also in this tutorial, as I do my eye makeup, I am going to be using a 4Well palette for a friend that a friend ordered. She wanted me to do a little tutorial for her on her 4Well eyeshadow palette. So I'm going to use that. This is for Jenny, and as well as some other things. So let's talk a little bit about, sorry, it's early. I'm going to need some coffee. About my professional makeup line. So it's called Limelight by Alcone. Limelight by Alcone is a ground floor company that has really only been in its infancy for two or so years. It's always better to get on the ground floor. However, Alcone company has been in business over 60 years, providing makeup to the stage and film industry. It decided to expand its reach to the consumer, and then that's why Limelight by Alcone was born. Why is it better for us to wear professional makeup versus something you would buy retail, CVS, Walgreens, Ulta, or one of the other big box stores? Well, professional makeup is water resistant. Our concealers are actually waterproof. These are the concealers and foundations that they actually use. I don't know if you've ever wondered how Sports Illustrated models in the water and their cute little bathing suits and their perfect bodies. Here they're makeup. They have makeup on, and how are they touching? I always wondered, how are they touching up that makeup between waves and water and under? Well, they use a professional makeup like Alcone. Because they are water resistant, because they are waterproof, they're not going to come off in the heat and the sweat and the water, and so there's very minimal touch up to it because it's made for things like that. So for us here in Florida, something that's not going to come off in heat, humidity, the rain is a big plus. So it's water resistant. Once it's on, it stays on all day. In fact, it even looks better the longer you wear it. So professional makeup has higher pigment. What that means is store-bought has about 25% pigment, but Alcone products, they have about 60% pigment. So let's think about this for a second. And this is why I recommend this to my clients, because I'm a skincare person. So what you're putting on your face is important to me. So if Alcone has 60% pigment in all of their makeup and a store-bought brand has 25%, that means the 25% pigment has to be filled with parabens and fillers and I have no idea, God knows what, in some of these makeup. So they're putting back 75% junk. So if you have 60% pigment, that's going to last you a whole lot longer because you're not going to need as much to make your face every day. So it's going to last you longer. And if it's got 60% only, as opposed to 75%, only 40% is going to be filled with fillers and things like that. So to compact some of this and to structure the makeup, which is a whole lot better than 75%. So it's for me as a skincare person, that's important because we're not putting too much junk on our face. We're just putting a little bit. So that's a really a good thing to note. Also, it's got a flawless finish. Like there's a buffer brush that I'm going to bring out that you really can have this airbrushed look at home without having a professional do it for you. It holds up. It's always camera ready. So for my YouTubers and selfie takers and camera people in a world where we're constantly taking pictures of ourselves, there's no filters in this. It's going to look beautiful every time you take a picture. It blends easier because you're only using a little, and if you use a buffer brush, your fingers, a blender full, whatever the case is, it's going to just blend way better than other foundations, whether they be liquid or compact foundations. So it won't bleed, clump, wrinkle, or chalk either. Again, once it's on and it's warmed up to your skin tone, I mean, it's not coming off. It's gonna look, if not better, at what time is it? 8 o'clock in the morning, and it's gonna look just as good at 8 o'clock at night. So this is why Limelight by Alcone spoke to me. Before, I used to have a hodgepodge of things in my professional makeup kit when I went and did special occasion makeup, and anything from MAC to anything from Sephora to anything that I got at a trade show, and it was just a hodgepodge of things. But with this makeup brand, I really have condensed my makeup kit to mostly Limelight by Alcone for all of the reasons I just outlined. It's professional, it's long wearing, it's water resistant, concealers are waterproof, it just lasts longer, it looks better, it's better for your skin. So that's why Limelight by Alcone was a really easy decision for me to make. The company had been reaching out to professionals to start this wave, and a lot of beauty guides are professional makeup artists and estheticians. However, they don't have to be to join the company. They're very selective about who joins the team, as we're very hands-on and we give our signups all the tools they need to make this business your own. So again, they reached out to professionals like me and makeup artists and said, "Hey, this is what we have. This is our palettes." That only you could buy at a professional makeup store or trade show, and we want to kind of make this available to your customer base, your clients, so where I used to do professional makeup for, let's say, prom or homecoming, and one of the girls would say, "Oh my gosh, I love this foundation. It's fantastic. Where can I get it?" A few years ago, I would be like, "Oh, you can't get it because it's only available. We can only buy it through a professional makeup kit, or for things like that, and it wasn't priced properly to retail." So this is fantastic. Again, this was a very easy decision for me to make, as I would rather my clients be using what I know to be good for their skin. So that's a little bit about the company. In a really quick nutshell. I mean, there's so much more, and we can talk about that in another session. So this is going to be a little long, ladies. I'm sorry. I'm trying to they're not always going to be this long. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so before I move on, all of my website information for the makeup is going to be listed here. I also have some new catalogs that Limelight just sent me. So if you're a catalog person as opposed to a website searching person, I'll be happy to send you a catalog. Just message me below, and we can I can mail you out one. Also, on this video particularly, because it's going to be so long, if you guys have any questions, or you make some kind of comment on this video today, I'm going to put everybody who makes subscribes and likes and comments in a little raffle for a little mystery gift. So just that way, it's a little something extra for you guys suffering through this video. But without further ado, let's do some makeup. Okay. So yesterday I had some Skin Classic zappings done on my skin. So I had this little Nevis on the tip of my nose, and Nevis is kind of like a colorless mole, and some other little, I don't know if you can see them, this lighting, this is like amateur hour in my house. You should see this set up to like have okay lighting and my camera functioning. So again, amateur hour YouTube station today. So I had a little things, I don't know if you could see them, and I had them kind of it wasn't really a laser, it's called a skin classic, so it's high frequency that kind of zaps them. So I have a few things on my skin right now that I'd like to cover, and I'm going to use the concealer to do that. I've already washed my skin. This is really important with any makeup that you're using. I've already washed my skin. I've put moisturizer with an SPF in it, as well as a little drop of, let me get it, a little drop of Must Do. I always tell people that Must Do is a must-have. This is a Limelight by Alcone product, and it's got some palmarose and sunflower, and it's like a face oil. I put a little drop in my SPF with moisturizer because, again, it just keeps everything hydrated and will make any of your makeup go on better. This time of the year, when we are suffering with a little bit of dryness, I put a pump of this Must Do in everything. My moisturizers, sometimes I'll even mix it in with my foundation just to keep that dewy look, or just for a hydrating, just for hydration before I put on my makeup. So that's really important. So let's get started. 11 minutes in, let's get started. That's what she says, right? All right, so I start, even though I've already moisturized and put some sunblock on my skin and cleaned it and all that good stuff, I still start with my first base makeup primer. The primer, what that does, it's going to just kind of fill in any fine lines, any wrinkles. It's going to hydrate. It's definitely going to reduce the appearance of pores. It's just a nice base for everything that you're putting on. It's going to last longer. Again, good for some hydration. Let me have some coffee here. And I shake mine a little bit just to get all that yumminess in there. And then I spray. Just a few little sprays. I kind of let that settle in, and then I move on with some concealer. So as I mentioned, concealers by Alcone are waterproof. What I love about that is if you stuck some concealer underneath your eyes, and you cried, or you got stuck in a windstorm or a snowstorm or a rainstorm, it's not going to bleed. It's not going to bleed down your face, and the foundations are the same way. So that's the way I like to use concealer. So right now I'm going to do a little, and I'm going to turn my face that way because this is where my mirror is. I'm going to put a little bit underneath my eye. And again, you don't need a whole heck of a lot. These are my concealers. Because of its high pigmentation, you only need a little bit. And I'm using an actual concealer brush just to highlight underneath my eyes. I'm going to do it down the mask of my face just to highlight some areas. Highlighting and contouring, ladies, it's we see all this interesting stuff on YouTube and Facebook and Instagram, and some of it looks a little ridiculous, some of it looks nice, but you don't really need all of that, especially on an everyday basis. So I like to, because I just woke up, I've got a little bit of darkness underneath my eyes, so I just like to highlight a little bit underneath my eyes. And again, you don't need a lot. I'm pretty much just tapping on the concealer and then spreading it along with my concealer brush. I'm also going to highlight a little right here, just to put a little bit of highlight my mask area, which is right here, where light hits, where a flash would hit, just to highlight these areas here. All right, so I put that on with my brush, and then I'm going to take my finger, because this makeup also performs better and spreads easier when we warm it up to our skin. So remember, ladies, only use like your non-strong finger to blend in underneath your eyes. So this is, I use a number, I don't know what that was, a number 0 to highlight underneath my eyes and my mask area. And then I'm actually going to use a number 1 that has a little bit of a green tint to it to maybe cover and conceal some of these little things that I had zapped off yesterday. That just looks like little imperfections and blemishes, and hopefully those things will fall off, dry out and fall off, and my skin will look better. But in the meantime, I'm going to cover them. Again, this is a number 1 I'm using that's got a little bit of a different hue to it to actually conceal instead of highlight. So that's what I'm going to do. And again, I'm just touching the palette and then touching the areas that I do want concealed. I have a few little broken capillaries here that I actually tried to zap off yesterday. I don't know, one side looked like it did better than the other, but we'll see. But I like to cover them because they look a little reddish underneath my makeup. So that's the concealer. And again, I kind of just take my finger and kind of blend them in a little bit before I put on my foundation. Oh, this one on my nose. Interesting. Okay. So that's the concealer. You can see that it kind of highlighted underneath my eyes pretty well and right here in the mask. Then I'm going to take my foundation and dot it on my skin. I'm trying to find my little foundation scraper here. And dot it on my skin. I use a Shinto 1 and a Shinto 2. Now, I do that because a Shinto 1 and Shinto 2 foundation color. I'm one of those that likes to mix things, but we can definitely find a color match that's right for you. So what I'm going to do, so I put a little on my hand, if you can see that, and why I do that is to warm up the foundation. The foundation comes in palettes like this, so it's a compact type of foundation, and then once you scrape it out with a scraper or your finger or whatever, I like to warm it up on my hand because it just is going to spread a little better. And then I dot it on my skin, and then I'm going to take a buffer brush and buff that in. And again, less is more, ladies. I think if you use too much of this foundation, you're going to know it. It's going to not look right. It's going to kind of feel like it's too much. And that's why I like to dot it on my skin before I do anything else. So I still have a little extra foundation on my hand just in case I need to pick any more up and cover. This is the buffer brush. It is actually on back order. It should be back in stock February 7th. And this is what I like to use to buff on the foundation because it gives it like this airbrush effect. So I'm going to do that. And again, I'm looking out over this way because I have a little mirror, a lighted mirror over here that I can see a little bit better. And I'm taking this in circle, 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 circle. I'm just buffering that foundation on. And I'm not using, it's not a hard buff. It's actually a very soft circular motion, and just buffing it on and spreading it out and evening out the foundation. So I'm circle, circle, circle. I don't know if you can see that. It kind of just buffs itself on. I'm taking some of this concealer and buffering that in a little bit. Make sure you get, hopefully with a good color match, you're not going to have that ridiculous line, but I get pretty far down just to keep that from happening. Oh my gosh, this lighting is awful and I apologize. But if you could see this setup, it is ridiculous. It's so like amateur hour. Maybe one day I'll get it together and get some better stuff to video myself with. So, but it gives you an idea. So I make sure that everything's buffed out and blended properly with my buffer brush. And you see, it didn't really take me long to get it all on and to get it all spread and to make sure it was all evenly distributed onto my skin. Again, the buffer brush by Limelight by Alcone is a must-have. But if you don't have a buffer brush, you can always use your fingers, kind of like I put on the back of my hand, warm it up on your skin, and then just buff it in. You could also use a blender full or a beauty blender. And how you would use that would be, where's my beauty blender? This is a really cute beauty blender from Limelight by Alcone. It comes with a cute little travel case. I love it. But you can also use a beauty blender, and once you dot down your foundation, you can blend it in that way. There's some other beauty blenders out there. This is called the Blender Full from Limelight by Alcone, and it's in the catalog and on the website. So you could do that. You could use your fingers. I just prefer to use the buffer brush because I like that airbrushed look. And again, it also just spreads it out more evenly, I feel, where it doesn't look too thick. And I feel like I use much less foundation too because I'm just dotting it on my skin. And then the buffer brush does the work on buffing it out. So that is the foundation. And you see it really did even out my skin tone a little bit. I don't quite look as scary as I did when we first started. It definitely evened out my skin tone for sure. So that's the foundations and concealers. So then I'm going to go back over this with the Perfect Powder and a bronzer. So this is the Perfect Powder and the bronzers. What I like about Limelight, they're very simple. There's one color Perfect Powder, there's one color bronzer. I don't know about you, I'm going into Sephora or Ulta or any of the box stores and going, there's 500 powders, finishing powders, pressed powders. What do I need? Like that, it's overwhelming, and I just end up not getting anything because I'm just completely overwhelmed. So if I know this is professional powder, it looks white, but it's not. It's translucent. It will go on your skin clear. It's just going to matte down the foundation. It's going to soften it up a little bit. Whatever you use powder for, it will do, and it goes on clear. It goes on for any skin type and tone. So I literally dotted it like that. I mean, once again, high pigment means you don't have to use as much. And I take my big fat powder brush and I just dust it on over my foundation and concealer. Again, it just mattes it. It just softens it up. It just kind of sets it in place. I also do it over my eyes. I don't put concealer and foundation on my eyelids. My eyelids tend to run a little on the oily side, so it usually kind of leaves a little concealer crease or a foundation crease, but the powder I do put on my eyelids for primer purposes, and it keeps my shadow from moving. So that's the translucent powder. And I used my big buffer brush. This is an actual angled brush, I believe they call it in the catalog. And this is what I'm going to use to do my bronzer. So bronzers, ladies, I know in the, several years ago, we used to kind of just do it as a sun-kissed look. I mean, you can do it, but it's kind of an old school way to do it. Nobody really wants to look like they have a suntan just on their cheekbones. Although you can use this as cheek color, but there's a way to apply it. I actually like to apply my bronzer in more of a contoured kind of look. So I'm going to find my cheekbone, and I'm going to bring it all the way up to the base of my ear with my angled brush. And then I'm going to kind of just angle over the side down right here in my temple, just to give it a little bit of a contoured look without going overboard. Do this side. Again, finding my cheekbone, taking it all the way up to the base of the ear and down my templed areas to give myself a little bit more of a structured angle into the look of my face when you look on me straight on. You can add more pigment to this. Again, this is highly pigmented, so I always just dab and add if I need to. If you use too much, it's going to look overdone. And then I actually also take it down the sides of my nose just to elongate my nose a little bit. Like that. So I don't know if you can see, it kind of just gave me an angled look. It kind of thinned out my face a little bit. And gave me some contour and depth in the color of my skin. Okay, so that's the bronzer. Then I go back and take some cheek color. And you don't have to do this, but I like to mix my cheek colors. So this is my personal palette that has a glowing color, a blushing color, and this one's called Alive. I actually take like this color and for my cheeks, this for the top of my brow bone for a glowing look, and then this for the apples of my cheeks. I'm going to take that cheek color. Just put it on. Give myself a little color this morning. Just as you would normally apply some cheek color. And then I would take that glowing color and go right at the top to give it a little glow and a little shimmer. Like that. And then I would take this blushing color right here in the middle and do the apples. Make sure you smile, ladies, when you do this so you can get the exact apple. And then I'll go back and take that bronzer brush and kind of blend it a little bit. Like that. Okay. Again, this lighting is terrible, so I'm sure you really can't see that well. But it gives you an idea on how to do this. I wonder if this would help. Not really. Okay. So that's that. I mean, that's basically my face. If I didn't do any eye makeup or anything like that, I mean, I could pretty much go with a little color on my cheeks and foundation and concealer and call it a day. But alas, I want to make sure that I get the eyeshadow palettes in for Ginny and use her colors so she knows how to apply it. Okay. Okay, so these eyeshadows are incredible. So this is like my main palette. They are, again, highly pigmented, so using less is more, and I implore you to use less, because once you get it on there, you're gonna be like, oh, that's too much, because they're very highly pigmented. They blend beautifully. They're creamy, they're soft, they're lovely. This is one of my favorite palettes right now by the Lottie collection. Lottie is a makeup artist, a very popular makeup artist, and she created a palette, several palettes actually, for Limelight by Alcone. This is the one I tend to use a lot, but I wanted to show you. But today I'm going to go back to my main palette because a client of mine, Jenny, she had picked out several of these, and I'm going to say them by name and number when I'm doing them, and I want to show her how to apply them. I know I've done the makeup on her. She ordered it based on my color recommendation, so I'm going to show her how I would use the 4 palettes, color founded. She got the 4 palette, so she understands what to do first, or give her a recommendation. She can use them any way she'd like, but this is how I would use them. So she got a number 2 Peachy Gleam, which is this one, this peachy color, Peachy Gleam. Number 19 Tiki Bar, which is the second one down, which is this one right here, which is this really pretty brownie color. Corkable, which is 32. Where's 32? Which is this lighter brownie color up here, and then Pineapple of My Eye, which is 34, and that would be this light base color. So I'm going to start with that one, Pineapple of My Eye, 34, and I'm going to use that as the base to my the base or the start of my eyeshadow. Little brushes. I could have been more organized, but at last here we are. So number 34, Pineapple of My Eye. I'm going to use that as the base color for my eyeshadow. Which base color means I'm putting it everywhere. I'm taking it all the way up to the brow bone to highlight that a little bit, and Again, I dab that like once, ladies. This is really highly pigmented shadow, and you can always add more, but if you get too much on it, it looks a little too pigmented. So again, I'm like literally taking it and dabbing it once with my big dome brush, my big eyeshadow dome brush, and I'm putting it everywhere. Down my lid, up towards my brow bone. All right, Jenny, so this would be what you would use for the base of your eyelid, and that's the 34 Pineapple of My Eye, okay? And then I'm going to go on to number 19, which is, it's called Tiki Bar. And this is this pretty shimmery burgundy maroon brownie color. That looks beautiful on her, by the way, Miss Jenny. And I'm going to take that, and I'm actually going to do the crease. So I'm going to get right in here, and I'm going to take it to the middle of my eye, and I'm going to crease it to the bottom of my eye there, and just do